Welcome to the group video critique of your fantastic watercolor paintings from last month, all inspired by one of my live online demonstrations. I'm thrilled to share my thoughts, focusing on what's great about each piece and offering a small suggestion for improvement as we go along the way. So hello, I'm Tim Wilmot, a watercolor painter and tutor. As many of you know, I've had the privilege of leading live online watercolor workshops where I create and demonstrate a painting while you all follow along. And last month we painted the bridge over the River Lille at Périgueux in southwest France. Now you don't have to paint in my style. It's really interesting to see everyone else's take on the same scene, different styles coming out there. And this workshop is open to painters of all levels, beginners and advanced. Everybody is welcome. In this video, I'll be offering constructive feedback on each of your paintings, and my critiques are based on my own perspective, and I'll be highlighting the aspects I admire most about each piece, and also suggest a small tweak or improvement just to help you refine your skills even further. Remember, we're all here to learn and grow together. Whatever level you're at with watercolor, you're always learning. So what I'm looking for in this particular painting project are drawing skills with that bridge, getting the perspective right, the arches, the reflections too, major part of this painting, getting those reflections right, and trying to get the feeling of that bright light coming into the scene and the fairly sort of calm conditions of the day and the river there at Périgueux. Also, remember that each attendee photo that you'll see is taken on their own device, so everyone's got different cameras, settings, lighting conditions, resolution, so please bear that in mind if we come across some that are a little bit small or maybe a little bit dark. Oh, and if you want to take part, then please go up to my event site at crowdcast.io/@Tim Wilmot, where you'll see not only this workshop, but also previous ones and up and coming ones as well. So let me dive into, first of all, the scene and the subject, then show you my meagre painting, and then we'll go through the attendee paintings one by one with my thoughts. This then is the source subject, the bridge, the main bridge going over the River Lille in central Périgueux. We're looking over to, I think it's a hotel, can't see exactly what it's called there, hotel on either side of the bridge coming over to the left. The lovely reflections in the water as well, little bit of foliage to deal with. Also in the top left hand corner here we've got a sort of willow type tree with dripping foliage coming down the left hand side, and something there up in the top right corner as well. It's going to be an exercise, say, in perspective, getting the angles right of the bridge, the buildings on the far side as well, a little bit of perspective to deal with there. Getting the reflections right as well, as in that kind of distance there, equaling that sort of distance, and likewise these reflections, making sure that we've got the right kind of length of those reflections. Also the placement of everything in the scene as well. Not putting your buildings too high, not getting the horizon too high so the building goes off the top there, or the horizon too low and the reflections, they sort of go right down the bottom there, and we kind of lose them off the bottom edge. So that's what I'm looking for as I go through. First of all, we'll go through my painting then, which I'm fairly pleased about. I think it's got a fairly loose style to it. I demonstrated the wet in wet approach to try and get a nice smooth wash to the sky and the horizon, and then also coming down into the river, trying to get the values right as well. The values of the lighter buildings above, they're slightly darker, and the actual reflection of the sky, again, slightly darker, deeper blue. But I think I got it fairly right as regards the perspective and placement of the hotel in the scene, and the length of those reflections and the values of the reflections. A little bit of loose brushwork down there in the bottom left-hand corner, just to indicate the context of where we are in the scene in that bottom left-hand corner with the bank, and then some foliage coming in the right, the willow tree on the left, bit of dry brush strokes with some of the lighter green there. Yeah, that's mine. Let's dive into the attendee paintings then one by one. First up then, Alex, and nice French feeling to those buildings on the far side of the river. I think the area we need to address are the reflections of the bridge. You've got the angle of the top of the bridge there perfectly, and the structure of the bridge, but we're missing the reflections of the bridge and the main building there in the middle, Alex. So I think we would need to, think about, for example, the right-hand side of the bridge there, the top of the bridge there, something like that. You've got the reflection of the underneath the arches. That's superb there, and the reflection of all that greenery as well. But we need to get in the reflection of the bridge there, bit of a waterline as well, and the reflection of that building as well. That would make it a little bit more river-like, and the calm conditions, getting those sort of still reflections in there. Nice foliage, top left and top right corner. But yeah, beautiful building on the right side. I like also the angle and shape of those shadows coming over the rooftops. Excellent. Well done, Alex. And Alexei. Yeah, nice and loose. I love these brush marks here on the left-hand side. The tree coming down that top left corner. It's really well drawn, the whole scene. I like the buildings as well. Nice, loose transparency of the colours. You've got the values right of all the buildings. Beautiful brush marks down here. Look at all this. Lovely. Yep, excellent scene. Fantastic. Maybe does it need something in that top right corner? Maybe not. I think it's a superb thing. I like also the structure of the composition, in that we've got that almost like a triangle there, and then reflected with a triangle in the bottom. I think it looks like quite a nice, sort of pleasing, balanced design to the composition. Well done, Alexei. And Anna. Very nice, well drawn, perspective is good, excellent bridge, the arch of the bridge. Maybe there could be less of these lighter spaces between the reflections of the foliage, and or perhaps some softer edges to that as well. But on the whole, the reflections are very good indeed. You've got that feeling of the calmness. The willow in the top left corner, perhaps the brush strokes just a little bit too dry. If the water was a little bit wetter there, getting in those kind of vertical strands of the foliage. The tree in the top right corner, that's superb. Brilliant. Maybe just drag in a few of those branches, try and connect, with the rooftops there. All right, just to, so it's not there in isolation in the top right corner, but a beautiful scene. Captured it superbly. Well done, Anna. And Ashley. So we might be looking at the photo at an angle, or we're looking, the photograph is taken of the painting at slight angles. We just need to compensate for that a bit. I think that you've got the perspective pretty much okay. Certainly above the waterline, the perspective looks really good. Lovely sky. With the reflections, maybe there just needs to be a little bit more of a curve in there for that line. So a bit more of a bit of a stronger middle support there for that bridge, and then just a slight change of that reflection of that arch. And also with the big building, the hotel, that's the side of the building, so the reflection needs to come down there. All right, so it just got a little bit too wide on that side of it. It is quite difficult. Even mine wasn't perfect. I mean, I was slightly out on one of the sides. It is quite difficult to do, but a superb effort. Very nice colours. Certainly captured that warm, bright day as well, and lovely colour of the water. Well done, Ashley. And Barb. I like the horizon. That's a nice position for the horizon, pushing it right up there. Got a bit more space for the water as well. It's really well drawn. As I say, the perspective is very good. You've got the slightly darker valleys of the buildings as well. Perhaps we could have gone a little bit softer with some of the darker reflections in the water. Perhaps the water could have been as well just a little bit darker. It looks like it's a similar value to the sky, and that would perhaps increase the feeling of the brightness of the day, the buildings above the water. But superbly drawn, and lovely foliage there on the trees, left and right, and the bank here. Yeah, well done, Barb. And Bettina. It's well drawn. You've certainly got the feed. I like all those rooftops there of that other side of the city on that right hand side. Yeah, so really well drawn. Good perspective of the top half of the scene. Not so sure about these brush marks along the top of that bridge there and the rooftop here. Maybe it's because they're quite sort of small brush marks and they've got a hard edge around them. I think if you'd have gone for more of a solid colour or a solid covering, and then trying to get, if you want a feeling of the movement of the water, maybe just trying to get that brush, trying to making more of a sort of solid covering to that rooftop area. I mean, the actual reflections there, that's better. I like those, but I think this white in there, these lighter areas within that roof area, just needs to be coloured in a bit. But nice composition. Not so sure about this dry brush mark there, but the foliage of the tree in the top left-hand corner, really good. And down in the bottom left-hand corner, excellent as well. All the values are just right. The lightness of the building, colour of the building, the colour of the reflection of the building. Yeah, well done, Bettina. Thank you. And Bronwyn. A nice sort of panoramic view. We've sort of kind of zoomed out just a little bit more, and I think that really works. So nicely drawn. Perspective-wise, maybe the reflection of the top of the bridge, that might need to angle down just a little bit more, Bronwyn, and then try and connect that with the foliage in that bottom left-hand corner. Love the willow tree top left corner there. Perhaps that building there could have been a bit lighter as well, just to make it stand out from the horizon. Yeah, but it's really well drawn and nice and loose, nothing overworked. Nice foliage coming down in the top right corner. Perhaps the water could be, oh no, the water is a little bit darker. The river's a little bit dark in the sky. Excellent, well done, Bronwyn. And Karsten. Yeah, certainly got the feeling of a nice still day. Very well drawn with the perspective. With the bridge, I'm not so sure about this area here, this middle support. Maybe we we need to get some sort of waterline in there just to give it a bit of context of that's the bridge and that's the reflection. Value wise, I think it's all superb. You've got the color, the actual color of the sky compared to the reflection of the sky. Very good. Nice blue, dark blue in that bottom right hand corner. Nice play on warm versus cool. Lovely brush marks as well. Top right, bottom left. Excellent. A nice loose rendition of the scene. Well done, Carsten. Chen. Now this is a different style. You've paid a lot of attention to the far buildings and all those balconies and terraces there, roof coverings, windows, shutters. I think it really works. It's nice. Maybe a little bit overworked as we come down to the foliage and the foliage in the top left-hand corner. I think that's just a little bit overworked, but I do like the style. You certainly captured the feeling and the little intricate detail of the architecture of the buildings. The reflections are good as well, very well drawn. Perhaps the water could be a little bit darker in there. A little bit darker. Maybe that building there could be a little bit lighter. And then the actual reflection of the sky could be a bit darker, just to create a bit more of an impact. Reflections look good. Perhaps that arch there is coming towards the top of the bridge a little bit too much. Perhaps the height of the bridge from the top of the arch to the top of the bridge, it could be just a little bit more on that side, just to make it a little bit more appear a bit stronger. You can try and get that little arch right as well. All right, in there. A lovely scene, a nice style. I like the level of detail that you put into it. Well done, Chen. And Christy. Nice perspective. I quite like that lighter area on the left-hand side. It feels like there's a bit of light coming from over that end of the bridge. Really well drawn. As I say, great perspective. A bit of a sort of like a line and wash to it, which works really well on a scene like this. I'm not sure how you might do those kind of soft reflections with line and wash, but certainly, in my opinion, it works really well for the buildings on that far side and the bridge details as well. Colours just right. You've got the values just right. The sky reflection of the sky. Perhaps could be just a tiny bit darker with the bridge reflections. I like the foliage, particularly this foliage here. That works right. Not so sure about this. There was that sort of willow tree, wasn't there, on that far right hand side. That looks, looks a little bit weak. You can sort of, I think if it was a bit more opaque, bit thicker paint, you might get away with it. A little bit more like the one in the top left-hand corner there. Nice bank in the bottom left also. Really good. Yeah, I like it. Well done, Christy. Thank you. Colin. Top half above the waterline looks good. Good job on the perspective, certainly of the main building. I like the sense of light that you've got on that building there, Colin. I think the reflections need to be a little bit longer, particularly the bridge. I would say if that's the height of the bridge, we need to come down to about there with the top of the bridge. All right, so just needs to be, it would need to be extended just a little bit more there. The reflection of the hotel, that's good. That's just the right length. And also the side buildings going over to the right. The values of everything, just right. The darker colour of the bridge, the darker colour of the sky reflecting the water. Very good. Perhaps we could make the foliage in the bottom left hand corner a little bit more random with that edge. You know, just trying to, I'm going silly there with my marks, but you get the idea. So it's not too perfectly, the edge not too perfectly straight. Perhaps a bit more foliage in that top right corner as well. Like the willow tree, top left corner. Yeah, very nice indeed. Excellent. That was Colin. Now we might have a couple of Davids. There's David C. Right, let's just zoom in a little bit on this one. Yeah, we're really well drawn. It's fairly dark with the bridge. You've gone a little bit darker with the value of the bridge. So maybe we're not going to get such the feeling of such a bright day, but it is really well drawn. I think the reflections are pretty good as well. The reflection of the hotel and the bridge, yeah, really good. Foliage on the left hand side maybe could be a little bit thicker in place just to hide or go over the, we can sort of see the bridge showing through beyond, so maybe you could have gone a little bit thicker with the paint of the willow tree there, and a bit more foliage in the top right hand corner rather than just sort of lone strand coming down. Maybe just a little bit more foliage in that top right corner, but certainly got the feeling of the tranquility of the scene. An excellent reflections. Really good job on drawing those buildings as well. Well done, David. That's David C and David J. Now I bet David's painting is a lot lighter than this. I do like it. Lovely brush marks, nice and loose. It's got a certain sort of vibrancy about it. Maybe the perspective of the bridge is not quite there, David. I think we might need to slope down the top of the bridge just ever so slightly there. But the bottom, that's brilliant. The arches, brilliant. The reflection of that main building, yeah, excellent. But nice brush marks. Oh, top right corner. I'm not sure if it's your intention, but just go up to the edge there and have a bit more denser sort of foliage in that top right corner. Yeah, nice one, David and Eileen. I just need to zoom in a little bit more on this one. Oh, striking blue. Love that blue. Really, really nice. Nice and vibrant, warm blue. Yeah, fantastic. It's pretty well drawn. I think you got the perspective right. Maybe the bridge, a bit like David's before, bridge could be angled down just ever so slightly there. Eileen, I think, on that top. Perhaps with the foliage in the top left corner, could have gone a bit darker in there. In value, darker and thicker in there. And again, likewise, in the bottom left-hand corner, more of a solid covering just to give some context to the bank on that bottom left-hand side. But I do like that blue. That's a fantastic blue. Well done. And Fausia. Fausia, I think like Christy did almost a little bit of liner wash. Now it's really well drawn. I like the perspective is very good on this Fausia. The willow tree, top left corner. I like the brush marks, but I think it could be a little bit more solid in that area there. A bit like on the right hand side there, you've got that kind of density of the current covering there. I think if that was a bit denser over there, that would sort of fill in that top left corner quite nicely and go right up to the edge, go right into that corner of your paper. I can see where your tape is there, so take it right up there. Beautiful arches of that bridge though. Fantastic arches. Values, just right. Yeah, like the different intensities, the value of the blue in the water. Very good indeed. Lovely darker blue down towards the bottom. Well done, Fauzia. Thank you. And Helen. Right, now, this might be a picture of two hearts. So on the right-hand side, brilliant. The perspective, composition, the quality of the drawing, brilliant. The reflections as well. The left-hand side, the reflection of the bridge is all right. If we imagine the water's edges, something like that, we need to get the bridge, top of the bridge, something like that, based on that reflection there, I think, Helen. Yes, it would just need to adjust the top of the bridge to angle down a little bit more so that it kind of is associated better with that reflection. Lovely colours though. Beautiful willow tree, top left-hand corner. Excellent green as well. Not too vibrant, just the right value. Bottom left-hand corner, maybe go for more of a diagonal edge with the river bank on this side. All right, and maybe a little bit darker as well. Excellent. I do like that. Those buildings are on the right-hand side, and that green. Well done, Helen. And Ian J. Now I know Ian's paintings. They can be quite soft, and this is Ian's style. Lovely tranquil feel to it. Perhaps we could have gone a little bit deeper with some of the colours, particularly the blue. I think that sky is just right, Ian, and the red, the intensity of the reds of the rooftops there. But coming down to the water, maybe that could have been a bit of a darker blue. All right, and getting some harder edges, like you've got some nice hard edges for those reflections. Those reflections are brilliant. That bridge, that line there, the edge that you've done to that reflection, just giving you a sort of sense of a little bit of ripple, a little bit of movement in the water flowing down. I think it goes from left to right here. Could be a little bit darker on the left-hand side there as well. A little bit darker. I like all this over on this right-hand side. Just be careful not to overwork it too much. But that's granulating quite well in there. Yeah, just need to maybe inject a bit of more vibrant colour into that water. I like the sort of misty, out of focus view of the reflection of the building though. Well done, Ian. And Isabel. Very nice. You certainly got that feeling of the calm conditions, clear skies. Yeah, beautiful. The way that you've done the far bank as well, buildings, trees, the river bank, water's edge, top of the river bank, beautiful brush mark, edges. That shade of green is perfect. Yeah, fantastic. Really, really good indeed. Perhaps with the willow tree, we could have gone for more vertical strands, just to give the feeling of that tree. But it's a minor thing, to be honest with you. I think it's a really excellent painting. Well done, Isabel. And Jean. Well, let's just zoom in on this one. There we are. Beautiful gold colour. That contrasts so well with the blue. I like it. Yeah, nice one, Jean. Really well drawn. Perhaps the gold colour, the reflection of the bridge just goes a little bit too far. If I zoom in, we've got the reflection of the top of the bridge there, that darker red colour. And then because we're using wet, maybe this lighter orange colour just sort of seeped down just a little bit too much. All right, I'd have been tempted. I'd have been tempted to maybe that sort of darker red colour there, the reflection at the top of the bridge. Maybe just bring it down a little bit after the bridge had dried. You know, the surface was quite dry. Reflection on the right side, fantastic. Very nice. Lovely foliage of that top left-hand corner. The valley of the foreground here as well. Bottom left-hand corner. Yep, excellent painting. Well done, Jean. And Joe. All right, yeah, I like the way that you've done the hotel. The horizon is lower on this one, so we're making maybe a bit more of a feature of the sky. I love that building, very imposing. It's almost like the way that you've got the perspective of the rooftop, almost like we're looking up at it, and it's got a really sort of commanding scene over the bridge and the river. I think you might have gone a little bit too soft or overworked some of the softness of the reflections down below, but on the whole they do work. You've got the right length of those reflections and values. Well, maybe just a little bit overworked. I feel in a few places there. Just the right intensity of blue. Having all that sky, does it need maybe I'd be tempted there with all that sky, Joe, just to put in a few birds maybe in the sky. Not sure if any of the following submissions will have any birds in the sky, but yeah, just to fill in that space up there. But you capture it really well. Well done, Joe. Yes, I do like that building. Yeah. Right, John M. Zoom in a bit here. Good drawing, good perspective. Maybe the water's edge on the right-hand side could go either horizontal or just slightly uphill a bit, but the reflections are excellent. I would actually have the reflections, the darker part of the reflections a little bit more solid, less of those lighter areas showing through, particularly under the bridge there. I think we get away with it with the reflection of the foliage on the riverbank, but over here just make that a little bit more solid. Yeah, it's really well drawn. Buildings look good. The values are just right as well. Nice blue for the water. Perhaps we could have gone a bit darker with in the bottom left hand corner there. Nice willow tree, top left corner. Yeah, well done, John. Thanks very much indeed. Kazim. Like it. Very well drawn indeed. Excellent. The perspective is fantastic. The way that you've done the bridge and the building, very, very good indeed. Perhaps it's just a little bit too much of the lighter parts of the paper showing through there. Above the water and those reflections, a little bit too much, but on the whole I like it. Try and make the bank here just a little bit more random, not too tidy. Top left corner, lovely willow tree. Top right corner as well, those marks coming out from the right hand side. Buildings on the far side, fantastic, very, very good indeed. And you've got the values just right as well. Sky, water, bridge, reflection of bridge. Yeah, well done. Thanks very much, Kazim. And Leslie, just zoom in a little bit here. Right, really well drawn. I think the bridge of the building is just a tiny bit too big for the building itself. And also the building is quite a cool colour, whereas we've got a bit of a warm glow to the reflection. I like it though, having said that. From an artistic point of view, I do like it. Perhaps the reflection of the bridge could be just a tiny bit deeper, longer. And Did you crop your scene? I think we've just got such a sort of teeny weeny bit of foliage coming up there on the top left corner and the bottom left there. I think maybe either leave it out completely. We haven't got a lot of sky. That's all right. The horizon is there. Not too much sky. But yeah, I think that top left corner, need to beef that up a little bit more foliage in there, or nothing at all. And then likewise in this bottom left hand corner, maybe getting in some context of the nearby bank. But a nice scene. Yeah, I do like that. It's like a little sort of glow that you've got in the reflection. I like it. Okay, thanks, Leslie. Lillian. Now you've gone for more of a sort of moody sky on this one. I think that works. Quite a few soft edges to it as well. Really well drawn. Like the perspective. Very good. Bridge, arches. Perhaps we could have got more of the feeling of an arch in that bridge rather than a slightly sort of flatter top to that curve. So just a little bit more of a curve to the arch. You've got it there. That's a good arch. All right. Oh, you got it. Well done on getting a few little water lily pads in there. That's a nice element to sort of fill in that bottom right-hand corner. Good idea. Yes, I think with the softness, going back to the top part of the picture, perhaps we could have got some harder edges on that foliage in the top right corner there, and the top left as well. Maybe it's just a little bit overt, or you might have done maybe a tiny bit of lifting, Lillian. But I do like that sky. And also the angle that you've got those clouds as well. Lovely. Well done. And Linda, just zoom in a bit. There we go. Nicely drawn, good perspective. Good feeling of a nice sort of calm day. Perhaps the reflection of the bridge could be just a little bit darker in value. Sky's really good. Nicely laid wash. Transitioning into the yellow. No nasty green forming there. If you do it quickly, do the yellow first and the blue second. Very rarely do you get any nasty green unless you mix around too much. Reflection of the water, very good. Could be a little bit darker or more opaque with the colouring of the bank in the bottom left-hand corner. Foliage in the top right corner. Don't be too precise with that foliage. Go a little bit more random. We've got sort of 4 strands there of equal length. Just sort of mix it up a bit more, make it more random. But it's really well drawn. Good job on the perspective. Yeah, well done, Linda. And Linnea. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Well, nice panoramic view. More water lily pads creeping in here. And also the sort of size, the shape. We've got a feeling of perspective as well, going out of the river. Yeah, nice touch. Really well drawn. Good perspective. I'm not sure if it's the resolution of the image, but it looks like we've got quite a few sort of soft edges there. I think I would prefer some harder edge at the top and maybe go a little bit darker, thicker. There's a lot of middle values here. Maybe there could be some darker values, particularly under the bridge there. Darker values and slightly harder edges to some of the darker shapes. But really well drawn and nice touch with those lily pads. We've got that wetting wet as well with the rooftops there, I can see. Excellent. Nice sort of panoramic view as well. Well done, Linnea. And Lynn, a liner wash, as you can see. I think it's excellent. Really well drawn. The perspective is good. The length of the reflection's good as well. Maybe the bridge might be just a tiny bit too long, only by a millimetre or two, Lynn. I like the foliage in the bottom left-hand corner here, the shape of the outline of the grass or whatever it is on the nearby bank. It's a nice. It's got a nice sort of loose, vibrant style to it. I like it. Yeah, really good indeed. Do the buildings? No, the buildings are the right value. Yeah, I think it's really nice. Well done. A nice line of wash. Thanks, Lynn. And Maria. Beautiful blue. I like the way some blues granulate like this. Look at all that. I mean, it's one of the charms of watercolour. So that view is gorgeous. So you got the values right of the reflections, the bridge, the building, the reflection of the sky. It's really well drawn. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's the angle of the photograph, but we might have a slight lean that, I'm not sure if that building is leaning a little bit to the left. Maybe it's the angle that you took your photo. The top of the bridge could angle down just a tiny bit more, just by a millimetre or two. Yeah, I'm sure it's the angle that you've taken your photo. I bet it's a lot, those buildings are a lot more vertical than they see here. Yeah, nothing overworked, nice and fresh. Let's get rid of that. Nice and fresh. Perhaps the willow tree on the left-hand side, perhaps that could be a bit more opaquish, a bit thicker in paint, and perhaps just covering a little bit more of that sky area as well. And just zoom out. Can I zoom out a bit more? Let's go back to... No, I can't. Yeah, so I was just going to say, maybe a little bit more to that bottom left-hand corner, a bit of a bank in there as well. Yeah, nice one. Well done, Maria. And Mark. Right, quite well drawn. I think it's a little bit overworked with the reflection, and the reflection of the bridge, the actual drawing of it is very good, and the perspective of it. I'm not so sure about these buildings here. We've got the sort of angular shape of the buildings above, of course, but then down below it's more of a sort of natural, sort of organic, roundish shape to them. Perhaps it's that edge there, if I zoom back out again. So we've got the left-hand side of the building. The top of the roof needs to go up that side, just down ever so slightly that side. We've got the top there, but going back to that left-hand edge there, and following that down. All right, so that needs to be left-hand edge. Maybe the reflection needs to end about there. And then we've got the side buildings going off to the right. Yeah, just need to address that reflection there. And a little bit overworked, a bit too opaquish on that right-hand side there with the dry brush marks. Willow tree, try and get those vertical strands of leaves coming down. All right. Make it a little bit more willow-like. Colour of the water, the colour of the sky reflected, brilliant. Nice dark blue, fantastic. Certainly got the feeling of light. Look at the contrast there. The lightness of the reflected buildings with the water. Yeah, well done, Mark. And Mike. A very tranquil scene. It's very well drawn. Those buildings is superb. Good attention to detail. The windows and about the shutters either side. I like the warmth that's creeped into some of the greenery as well. Down here, nice sort of repetition of that warm colour. Perhaps as regards the values, we could have gone a tiny bit darker with the sky reflection and a little bit darker with the bridge reflection as well, and that some of those buildings, just a little bit darker. But it's so well drawn. The arches, the bridge, the perspective, fantastic. Yep, nice one, Mike. Thank you. And Norma. Ooh, very warm. I love that. I love that red. That's a fantastic red there. Yeah, very loose. I like the style. Very well drawn. Good perspective. Not so sure about this bottom left-hand corner. I think that needs to be a bit more solid. All right, down there. And also some of the reflections of the red, again, like I've pointed out before, maybe a little bit more of a solid covering to that area. Less of the lighter areas showing through. I think that would work a little bit better. But nice sky reflecting the water. Yeah, I think you win the prize for the vibrancy of the reds of the rooftops. Super, they really pop. Yeah, well done. Thanks, Norma. And Nydia here. Nicely drawn, good perspective. Maybe with the bridge, it looks, because of the width of the arches, it looks like it may be a little bit too narrow, maybe like a sort of single span bridge, whereas it is actually a little bit wider. But on the whole, it's excellently drawn. Value-wise, really good. Not so sure about the reflection. This building here, the reflection of the hotel, it looks like it's turning a little bit more. It's twisted a bit. So maybe if the angle, I think it's maybe the angle of the edge of the rooftop. Maybe it's a little bit too acute there. Might look a little bit better, being a little bit flatter. Love that green, top left corner. The willow coming down, beautiful. Yeah, really nice. Well done, Lydia. Nicely drawn, Pablo. Very nice. The perspective is brilliant on this. I'm just wondering though, the left-hand side being a little bit empty and missing out I'm not sure if it was your intention, but to miss out the rooftops on that other side and that kind of light blue area there. Maybe that should be perhaps something to do with the buildings or whatever going on further on that side. It just seems to be missing something there. But putting that aside, we've got here a lovely, calm, tranquil scene. As I say, perfectly drawn, very, very well drawn with the building and the perspective, the values as well. You've got the darkness of the sky reflection, just perfect. Yeah, expertly drawn. Well done. Just needs something, I think, on that left-hand side. Thanks, Pablo. And Pat, let's zoom into Pat's. Beautiful. Those buildings on the right-hand side are fantastic. That shadow there, that cool diagonal shadow, beautiful. And then the shadows in the recess of that little terrace in there, fantastic. Very well drawn, good perspective, great reflections. I think maybe your photo has gone a little bit dark in that middle area. I bet it's quite light in there, but it's a lovely blue. Capture that blue really well. Maybe a little bit overworked with the willow in the top left corner. That should be, or could be a little bit darker maybe. And Yeah, just bigger brush marks on that, and then a bit more solid in that bottom left-hand corner. But those houses on that right-hand side, fantastic. Well done, Pat. Ravi B. Nice perspective of the bridge, drawing you in. I mean, the perspective is very, very good on this. Okay, some of the marks of the darker reflections, I think it's the rooftops there. I would have less of these lighter gaps between the rooftop reflections, make them a bit more solid, a bit like you've got underneath the bridge there, a bit more solid, all right, and none of these sort of lighter areas showing through. That would look a little bit better there, and go a bit darker in the bottom left-hand corner. It's a bit weak, a bit too light on that bottom left-hand corner there. But it's really well drawn, and we can see the quality of your paper as well. Yeah, nice one. Very good drawing, very good reflections, good values of the reflection as well. And Ravi N. Very well drawn. Lovely colours. I think you've captured that brightness of those buildings on that right-hand side so well. Nice wash. Superb wash of that sky. Yeah, it's very good, Ravi. Excellent. Just right. It's very similar to mine, actually. The actual colours, the hues, the values, very similar to mine. Yeah, I like the sort of autumnal colour of the foliage on the right-hand side as well. You haven't gone sort of ultra green on those as well. That works out quite well. Yeah, nice one. Well done, Ravi. And Rhonda, zoom in a bit. Nicely mounted as well. With that frame around the side. Yeah, nice. I like the style of this. It's nice and loose. It's got quite a distinctive style about it. Nice composition. You've pushed that building a little bit more to the right. I think it balances quite well with the willow coming over on the left-hand side. Yeah, I love that sort of jaunty edge of the reflection at the top of the bridge there. Really nice. Perhaps the sky could be a bit darker, I reckon. And also the sky is a little bit sort of, I'm not sure if it's the quality of the image, but it looks sort of a little bit greyish. Perhaps if it was a brighter blue. I mean, the value's right, but yeah, just go a bit darker on the reflection there. It's going to bring out the lights a bit more, but beautiful style. Well done, Rhonda. Rosella, zoom in here. Nicely drawn, good perspective, lovely arch of that bridge. The reflections are brilliant, just the right length of reflection. We've got some blooms happening here, which I quite like actually. I'm not sure what you feel. Looking at this, whether you like blooms, I personally love them. Especially they work really well in, well, water, clouds, foliage. Love this edge, bottom left corner there, the edge, dry brush marks for the willow. Yeah, it's really good, Rosella. Fantastic. Well done. Perhaps the top right corner could be a bit more foliage up there, perhaps. Yeah, lovely. And expertly laid washes as well, for both sky and the water. Sally. Good perspective. You've put the hotel maybe a little bit more in the centre. I think that works. You've got more of the willow tree on that right-hand side to play with. I really like the foliage here on the far bank and the reflection of that foliage, that warmth in there. If I zoom in, look at the granulation. Beautiful effect of watercolour. Fantastic. The values are pretty good. Perhaps the bridge reflection could be just a little bit darker. Perhaps the bottom left-hand corner here could be a bit darker, and maybe just a few blades of grass in there, slightly just silhouetted against the lighter water, just to give some context to the bark. Not so sure about the willow tree here. This is the reflection. Maybe the reflection could be just a little bit darker, and maybe some context too in places the far water's edge as well. Perhaps a bit of a darker line in place, maybe just a sort of dotted darker line in there, just to strengthen up the water's edge. A beautiful painting. Yeah, lovely granulation as well. Thanks, Sally. Sandra. Yep, well drawn. Is the bridge angling down a little bit? Maybe just a little bit too much, but on the whole, the perspective is very good here. Very well drawn, Sandra. Colours are good. Perhaps the sky reflection could be a little bit darker, and the bridge reflection is a little bit darker. Those arches are brilliant there, particularly that one there. Fantastic. Nice reflection, that rooftop reflection. The edge of that reflection shape just got a sort of little bit of a wobble to it, like a bit of a slight movement in the river flowing down from left to right. Yeah, very nice. Well done. And Sarah. Yep, good perspective, well drawn. Could be a little bit darker with the sky, I think. Just go for it there. Lovely colour, though, of the other reflections. You've gone slightly darker. I can see that. Slightly darker with the bridge and the house reflection, the hotel reflection. It's really well drawn. Nice job with the willow tree, top left corner as well. Yeah, it looks like you've got a fairly smooth paper. That wash, that sky is fantastic. Really good. Well done, Saro. And Sylvie. All right, I think this photo, I bet your image, your painting is a little bit lighter than this. Lovely. I like these lines here. These lines sort of giving an indication of the flow of the river. Just be careful of not going a little bit too thick with some of the paint there. But it's really well drawn. Good job with the perspective as well. The values as well. Excellent. Nice dark blue for the river. Foliage, perhaps we could have a little bit more sort of vertical foliage if you wanted that willow tree type shape. But those dry brush marks there, fantastic. Not overdone, just the right value. Lighter green on top. Yeah, excellent. Well done, Sylvie and Susan. Nice play of warm versus cool. I like that blue mark in there, that lovely blue mark. Fantastic. Perspective. Now there might be a bit of a lean here going down to the right. I think we just need to sort of tilt the whole image maybe a little bit more in a sort of anti-clockwise direction by a few degrees, and then we'd have the riverbank either being horizontal or just going up ever so slightly. Yeah, so we're just going to need to adjust that angle a bit. The bridge is all right. Bridge is fantastic. The sky could have been a little bit lighter, maybe. Tiny bit lighter, but I do like the reflection of the sky, the blue. The grass down here, don't make it all sort of going in one direction. Have it sort of a bit more solid and a bit more random with the edge of the grass as well. Perhaps the horizon might be just a tiny bit too high because we've got a lot of water to play with. If the overall horizon was brought down a bit, we'd have a bit more sky, less of the water, because we've got a big space in here to fill in. Maybe if we got that space, we could put in a boat or floating vegetation, like we had with a few other attendees, maybe a few little sort of water lilies, because we've got about a third of the area here. Got a nice blue shade there, but maybe just something in here, fill in that space down there. Well done, Susan. Teresa. Yeah, but my eyes immediately goes to that light building. It really stands out, the light of that. Really well drawn. Yeah, you got the perspective really good. Perhaps the river is just going uphill just a tiny bit too much there. Perhaps that angle there, Teresa, could be a little bit more horizontal by a few degrees. That would make it better. Lovely reflections though, just the right values. Just zoom a bit, just the right values. A little bit overworked with that bush there and that one there, just a tiny bit. Nice dry brush marks for the willow tree, top left corner. Lovely laying of the wash of the sky and the river as well. Yeah, I can see that you've glazed over the reflection of the bridge just to get that darker value. That's all right as well. Yeah, it's just that angle there. I think it's going uphill just a tiny bit too much. Thanks, Teresa. And Victor. Very nice. I like the simplicity of the buildings on the far right and the repetition of those kind of window shapes and the pattern of those. Just zoom in a bit more. Zoom out. Yep, the reflections. Now that reflection there, I'm not so sure about that horizontal edge. Perhaps there could be a bit of an angle to match the angle of the rooftop. The perspective, the rest of the painting, fantastic. It's brilliant, Victor. It's very, very good. Yeah, the values are just right. I like these little strokes you've done in the river just to indicate maybe this is a bit of a flow of the river. You know, it's not like a still lake. It's more of a flowing situation. Lovely connection of the shadow of the arch, underneath the arch, and the reflections there as well. Nice shade of green on that far side. Yeah, lovely. Well done. And Vicente. Very loose. Perspective is pretty good. Very good indeed. Maybe the edges are a little bit too soft here for my liking in some of the bridge area and that area there. But on the whole, the reflection shapes are very good. Yeah, nice and loose. With your brush, to get some of these brush marks, they've got sort of rounded corners. Maybe, I'm not sure, Vicente, if you've got a brush with a better point to it, just to give a sharper corner to some of the shapes. And also with that rooftop there, you've got the pencil line. Take the roof over to that pencil line so they're not sort of showing through. You get that kind of sort of messy, bit of a messy edge to it. That might make that a little bit cleaner. Yeah, brush with a better point to it. The values are just right though. Lovely tree in the top left corner, and then the foliage in the bottom left as well. Yeah, very, very nice indeed. Well done, Vicente. And we all seem to stop on Vicente's painting, being last in the alphabet of the attendees. So thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed that. Looking back through these paintings, please join me on my next session. Go up to my Crowdcast site, crowdcast.io/@Tim Wilmot, the email symbol @ and you'll see all those workshops up there. Love to have you on board, and we'll catch up with you on the next one, on the next video, which is like to be a normal sort of demo tutorial video. I do have a few of these attendee critique videos, but mostly on my channel, I've got the normal sort of demonstration tutorial type videos. So thanks very much. Catch up with you on the next one.